Couple of questions about your playoff run that are burning questions.
Burning.
Coast to coast. Todd Gurley.
Yep.
Was that kid hurt during the playoffs?
No, he was obviously banged up at the end of the year, you know, and I think to his credit, he did everything to get himself ready to go. Had a great game against Dallas in the playoffs where you see the explosiveness for the 35-yard touchdown run. The New Orleans game really was more of a result of how the game played out, kind of the flow of the game. We weren't able to really get the run game going much and didn't start out great and couldn't have been more impressed with what a stud and what a pro he was in the way that he handled that. And then in the Super Bowl, he made some big-time runs. Really, when you look at the way that second half started, Rich, he made a couple big-time runs, pops a wide zone that he levels it off, and then he breaks one out on the left sideline where Chung ended up hurting his arm. There's a couple plays here and there where it's 3-3 in the fourth quarter. He breaks a run that ends up getting called back on holding that you just never know. But really, offensively as a whole, because Todd has been so successful and done such a great job, people have a tendency to think something was wrong. Really, it was more of, I didn't really give ourselves a chance to get anything going. So our offense didn't produce. It wasn't really Todd, and the opportunities were so limited. And, that's where I've got to do a better job of putting our players in situations to make those plays.
Because this could be coming from a fantasy football lens of the world. It's just he was so integral, it just seemed he touched the ball way much more in the first 13, 14 weeks, and I know he got hurt towards the end of the year. And in the playoffs, he's on a bike. He's standing there with his helmet underneath his arm. It was just strange.
It was, and it was a weird deal where, he's so tough. He's pushing through different things.
Is he trying to get through? Is he in your ear or something?
No. Todd is a pro's pro, and really he is such a mentally and physically tough guy that he would never be like that at all. But it was unique because CJ comes in, did such a good job those last couple weeks.
He did. He was phenomenal.
And really, it's okay. How can we find a way to make sure that we're smartly putting together game plans and utilizing the guys? Because he did miss those last couple games, and in an ideal scenario, it plays out like Dallas. But you can expect Todd to be the focal point of our offense again as we move forward. He's feeling good. He's in a good place. I just think the natural ebbs and flows when you play 19 games, and I know he missed a couple with the amount of work that he got, it just worked out that way at the end of the year. But he got a very similar workload in 17, and, the anticipation for us is he's in a good place, he's feeling good, and he's going to continue to be a central part of our offense, going into the 19 season, and I don't see that changing.
Okay, is there a possibility you put him on a little bit more of a limit in the first 12 weeks of the season?
I wouldn't say that. I think we've just got to do a good job of monitoring how he's feeling throughout the season. And again, it's football, and things can occur in a game that make you maybe wake up more sore than you were before. But he's always been so good about being able to communicate to us. And I think what you really saw was a Warrior pushing through the Philadelphia game, and then that led to him missing a couple games. He's the only one that can tell you exactly how he was feeling, but I know the way that guy goes about his business, and I have all the confidence in the world that he's going to do a great job, physically, mentally, getting himself ready to go so that he's peaking at the right time when our first game opens up.
And then the other question about your postseason run, other than the final score of the Super Bowl, if you could wave a wand and change something, either your approach, your style, or anything coming into that game, during that game, what would it be, Sean McVay?
Yeah, it's a good question, Rich. I think the biggest thing is just making sure that, you're giving players the clarity that they need to have to go execute at a high level. If the game plays out maybe a little bit different than what you anticipated, that the players, have an all-purpose menu, some different things where they know exactly what the intent of your calls are as a play caller. I thought our guys were ready to go, and I think really, you give New England credit. They did a great job. And
what did they do?
You know what they did? They did a good job setting edges in the run game. They played good coverage top down, and unfortunately, we weren't able to really make them pay. And a large part of that is a result of some of the plays I was calling. And that's where you say to yourself, okay, if you get some of these opportunities again, how can you create the ownership and the clarity for Jared and the rest of our players that when you do some of these things or when you call some of these plays, they know based on whatever look the defense presents, there's a confidence and there's a decisiveness that you enable them to be able to operate with. So it's like anything else. I think we did a great job as a staff and our players learning from when we lost to Atlanta, and we're going to certainly do the same thing. And really, whether you win or lose, our approach remains consistent where we always use those as learning opportunities. And And I couldn't be more excited about getting going with our guys on Monday.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.